Hello and welcome to this edition of Focus, a program produced by the Department of Disaster Management. I am Philomena Robertson, the Information and Education Manager at the DDM. In this edition, we focus on the Smart Schools program, which was piloted at 3 schools in the Seacoast Bay area, namely the Ebenezer Thomas Primary School, Little Lighthouse Child Development Center, and the Seventh-day Adventist School. When we come back, we'll tell you more about this very interesting program and how it is contributing to creating a smart footprint in the British Virgin Islands.
The Department of Disaster Management is located at number 3 Whaling Road, McNamara, Tortola. Our mission is to protect lives and maintain a resilient, stable economy and society by fostering comprehensive disaster management and climate change adaptation as a way of life. For all your disaster management needs, contact the Department of Disaster Management at 468-4200 to speak with one of our knowledgeable staff. That's 468-4200. Or you can visit our website at www.bviddm.com. We're also on Facebook and you can follow us on Twitter. The Department of Disaster Management, your life-saving connection.
The house was shaking. Then said the story here, babe. Crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from the Department of Disaster Management.
Welcome back to Focus. You may be familiar with the Safe School program, which was launched by the DDM in 2012. And which seeks to ensure that schools operated in the BVI meet minimum standards set out in the School Health and Safety Policy. The value and relevance of that project is accentuated by the fact that a safe school model has now been developed by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, to be implemented in participating states throughout the region. The Safe Schools program is also in keeping with the United Nations' aim to raise public awareness and create a demand for safe schools. The objectives of the UN initiative are to protect the lives of school children and to improve the risk reduction capacity of all schools. The Smart School project in the BVI takes this Safe School initiative one step further by adding green and healthy components, encouraging schools to make common sense improvements to reduce their operating cost and increase efficiency, while at the same time encouraging the incorporation of healthy living for healthier student populations. We get greater insight into the Smart School project from this video, which was produced as part of the community mobilization and sensitization component of the pilot project.
Children all over the world spend a significant amount of time on school compounds. It is therefore essential that schools provide a safe, green, and healthy learning environment. We believe that schools in the BVI, from primary to tertiary level, must be operating in structurally safe buildings, actively participating in school preparedness, including testing of emergency plans, promoting and practicing conservation measures, all to ensure that children are healthy and happy. The Smart School pilot was initiated in schools located in the Seacoast Bay area at Ebenezer Thomas Primary School, Little Lighthouse Child Development Center, and the Seventh-day Adventist Primary and Secondary Schools. The overall goal of this project was to develop a model for climate-smart, disaster-resilient, and healthier schools. This was achieved through interventions targeted at reducing the school's vulnerability to potential climate change effects, reducing the size of their carbon footprint, and developing a healthier student population. Seacowls Bay is a community of just over 2,000 people on the southern coast of Tortola. The community got its name from the West Indian manatee, or seacow, that once thrived in the waters of the BVI and fed on the sea grass beds.
Look, where you're standing on now, I think this area a little further in was what we call a kraal. It was where the fishermen kept live fishes, the surplus fish. They put them in this kraal, and when they had need, they go and take them out. All this land here is with fill land, and where the buildings stand, that's with fill land. So this was not like it is today. The whole of Seacowls Bay was bordered with, to the sea, was bordered with mangroves. You had mangroves all around. Sadly, most of it is gone.
Seacowls Bay is particularly vulnerable to landslides, flooding, and its vulnerability is compounded by the significant accumulation of siltation in the harbor, which serves as the only marine emergency shelter for large commercial vessels during tropical storms and hurricanes.
Okay, up on the hillside, we have constructed roads. My husband called up there the boundary. It is coming from up Harrigan straight down into Seacowls Bay. A road has been constructed there, so on either side, the hillside has been eroding over a period of time, because what has been happening, the road was put in place, but the walls of the hill has not been stabilized. So you see, as a result of the area not being stabilized, when construction takes place, the soil erodes, and here in the BVI, our soil, the topsoil is already shallow. So if that is being lost, you can imagine that the agricultural activity that will come out of it as a result would be minimal.
Several guts run through Seacowls Bay, but there are two in particular which tend to routinely impact the community. Excess sedimentation has resulted in degradation of aquatic habitats, lowered water quality, as well as restricted access to the harbor. There is a definite awareness among residents of the hazards that can potentially impact the community. This level of awareness was also evident among the student population at the primary and secondary schools. Principals at the schools selected for the pilot were immediately receptive to the Smart School project, noting that it complemented work that was already being done to create a safer and greener learning environment for the school population.
I must admit we were quite doing well with some of the emergency procedures that need to be in place. And however, after doing a critical evaluation of the building in terms of its safety standards and so forth, there are some minor issues we have to address, making sure that we have emergency exit signs at main parts of the building, ensuring that we have certain areas marked inside the building as well inside of the classrooms for emergency exits, in terms of making sure that students can identify where they're at and what to do in the event of an emergency. We have been outfitted with all 5 extinguishers. It was recommended that we should have smoke detectors, and so we're working on the little minor issues that we need to work with to make sure that the school indeed is safe, and in the event of emergencies we have all the relevant mechanisms in place to assist the process and to help students to be safe in the process.
Capacity building is one of the keys to improving resilience. The Smart School project sought to achieve this through the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, training, which exposed the participants to the principles of disaster management, as well as basic first aid and CPR, fire suppression, and light search and rescue. This CERT training was done in collaboration with the BVI Red Cross and the Virgin Islands Fire and Rescue Service, and it equipped teachers, parents, and other community-minded individuals with the necessary skills to respond to emergency situations that may occur at school, during field trips or when the schools have to be evacuated.
I was so excited that not only did the training that we got, I brought in someone, I think Mr. Loins, want him to do extra training for the rest of the staff, because I think that not only some but all staff members, wherever they work, should be trained in first aid, should be trained in whatever elements the Smart School project offers, so that it could bring more awareness to students. I think also it will be a very good idea, which is on the table, to have the parents as well educated about the Smart School project, what it entails, and the part and the role that they play.
There was an incident with a student who fell, and due to the fall, he came in with his left hand that looked slightly that something was wrong with the finger, because the ring finger was actually lapped over the pinky finger. So in that case, definitely we saw something was wrong. So then I remember my training from CERT, and I use, equipment from the school, a ruler and a triangular bandage, because we did not have the stretch bandage that was supposed to be in the first aid kit, because it was used in a previous accident. I use it where I splint. I have my stuff right here, so with me. I actually use it where I put it under the hand to stabilize it, and then wrap the bandage around the wrist and over the top of the hand to make sure to keep it stabilized while the student was transferred to Peebles Hospital for further observations.
The traditional risk to which the community is susceptible is well documented, but the impact of climate change must also be factored in. This was done through a 2-day Climate Smart Community Disaster Management workshop, which drew participants from teachers, residents, and others with a long-standing interest in the Seacoast Bay community.
The aim of the workshop is to enhance awareness of climate change and climate change actions toward the development of an action plan for climate change adaptation. We basically come up with the means of mapping the various impacts within Seacoast Bay area, and also we've looked at developing a vision for a resilient Seacoast Bay and what it would look like and what it would take to achieve that vision. So, for example, for each impact, we record the specific action that we want to take, the activities that would support the actions, who we think can drive the process and can achieve the results, and the resources that exist within the community or outside of the community to support the activities, and also resources that may be required.
At the core of this project was a desire to build resilience among schools in BVI by taking proactive measures to mitigate the potential effects of hazard impacts, non-communicable diseases, and climate change. The project was able to demonstrate how school populations can adapt to climate change by instituting measures that create a greener environment in which children learn and play. Recycling facilities were improved by providing receptacles, which allows for separation of trash and reusable materials. Students' awareness on the need to recycle was also done through demonstration and visual aids. In addition, children were educated about energy efficiency through demonstration activities which involved the installation of energy-efficient bulbs. The 3 schools in Seacoast Bay have now committed to the Green Pledge being promoted by the Conservation and Fisheries Department. The project also helped to improve indoor environmental quality and chemical management by providing each school with biodegradable and environmentally friendly cleaning supplies that do not release harmful agents and leave residue. The schools are now safer through the provision of disaster risk reduction education and the establishment of procedures for the proper storage, handling, and the use of chemicals used in cleaning and laboratory activities. Students have also been trained to use proper hand washing techniques. All 3 schools now have comprehensive disaster management contingency plans that have been tested and approved by the Department of Disaster Management. Each school has been outfitted with appropriate fire extinguishers, fire blankets, smoke detector devices, and evacuation schematics have been posted throughout the schools to guide safe evacuation. School-based gardens have been established and healthy eating lunch programs designed to guide parents and teachers in preparing more healthy, nutritious meals, even with small budgets. The Smart School initiative was geared towards the education sector but involved partnerships with many government and private sector agencies as well as community members. There is now a greater level of awareness of the importance of the need to have a safe, green and healthy learning environment, not only within the Seacows Bay community, but territory-wide. A model has been established and successfully implemented, which can be replicated in other schools and communities throughout the BVI.
I trust that you now have greater insight into some of the components of the Smart Schools program. When you join us next time for the second part of this program, we will be speaking to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Culture, Dr. Marcia Potter, who will speak on the ministry's support for the Safe and Smart Schools programs, the benefits of the programs, and the ministry's vision for future expansion. That brings us to the end of this edition of Focus. I am Philomena Robertson, Information and Education Manager at the Department of Disaster Management. Thank you for joining us and be sure to tune in again next time.